Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Movie Mortis, where Movie Madness lives. My name is Nick.
And I'm Drew.
And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite horror movies, the 1990 psychological horror movie, Jacob's Ladder, directed by Adrian Lyne. This movie follows Jacob Singer, a Vietnam War vet who is haunted by hallucinations and strange visions, and he has to get to the bottom of why these are all happening while dealing with his past. And it was also written by Bruce Joel Rubin, who has actually dabbled in a lot of he's dabbled with like a lot of supernatural material, and he wrote the script to Stuart Little too. I'm not kidding, that's real. I wanted to bring that in the podcast that he wrote the script to Stuart Little too. Anyways,
Okay.
I've seen this movie before and absolutely loved it. This is Drew's first time. Drew, what did you think of the movie? Give us your general thoughts.
Well, I thought it was pretty good.
Nice.
It's a movie where you really have to pay attention because every scene that you could be watching could be a hallucination, it could be real, or it could be a nightmare, it could be a number of different things. It's definitely a movie that definitely feels like it's kind of, I don't mean this to sound dirty, but it kind of jerks you from place to place. It feels like when it comes to a lot of like, because one scene will be Jacob with his ex-wife and his son who died, and then the next it'll be seemingly in present day, and then the next it'll be in Vietnam, and it just kind of goes back and forth like that. So it can be a little hard to follow sometimes, but it all makes sense by the end. And I think there's a bit of an interesting commentary in this movie about how the U.S. government deploys, shall we say, well, drugs to its soldiers during Vietnam.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and also, this movie was the inspiration for the Silent Hill video games. I don't know if any
Indeed.
of you knew that. And it was also the inspiration for the music video Nightmare by the greatest band of all time, Avenged Sevenfold. Yes, I did just say that. Sorry, metal elitists.
Yeah. I saw the music video actually just yesterday, along with the deleted scenes, which I will get into later. But Drew, you mentioned how it does jerk you back before. What did you try and keep thinking to yourself what is reality and which one isn't? And oh, by the way, spoiler alert, viewer, because I feel like the ending is very important and essential.
Yes, a spoiler warning. We should probably do that at the beginning of every podcast.
Yeah. So, Drew, do I want to talk about the ending now, or should I just ask you more about the movie? Because I do feel like the ending is very essential, and it did change my perspective on my second rewatch.
Well, I've only seen this movie once, so I can't really comment on how I would approach it on a rewatch. But it did definitely make me rethink. Okay, so here's my. I thought about this last night after I finished watching this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna hit you with my overall interpretation of the events of this movie. I know
Sure.
it's a bit of an odd way to start, but that's what I'm gonna start with. I tend to think, because I don't know if this seems to me like one of those movies where every viewer, every audience member can have their own interpretation of what actually happened. I am of the, and I don't really have a lot of like hard evidence to back this up, other than just a feeling that I have. But to me, this movie, most of the events in this movie are a pre-death hallucination of Jacob Singer as he's in Vietnam.
I actually agree with that interpretation. I agree that is a pre-death interpretation. So spoiler for viewers: Jacob dies, but not because of
Yeah.
hallucinations, but he died in Vietnam, and apparently, even this is a psychological horror film, but the writer and the director saw it more as a man coping with the fact that he's dead. I mean, I'm gonna ask, what do you think about how does that change your perspective, Drew?
I think I'm not sure how to put this into words, but I think it makes it. Shit, I don't really know.
Hmm.
I don't
Because
know if
it's
I can answer
fun.
that question.
What's funny, I actually watched a behind the scenes documentary, which came on my special edition DVD, obligatory fuck Sony, a whole bunch of phony. You were much better in the golden age of the brony. Now excuse me while I go retreat on the island of Coney. And man, your current business practices make me have a pick a bony. Fuck you, Sony.
I should say this, viewers. We were going to cover this movie a week ago, but I ordered this from Barnes and Noble, and UPS was late in delivering it, so
Yeah.
that's why we're covering it this week. And we did Nightmare on Elm Street last week. But yeah, I
Yeah.
have my Blu-ray here. Fuck Sony. Fuck them right up their assholes. Fuck
Yeah.
them.
Fuck Sony with a big rusty pole and a splittery spoke. Yeah, fuck them the most. Fuck you, Sony. Now that's a real Big Fish song that I just bastardized a bit just to make it more about Sony. But anyways, so yeah, on the behind the scenes documentary, the director said that like a lot of hospice patients actually watch this movie and it makes them feel better. What do you think about that?
I did not know that. That sounds very interesting. Because I know there is a, I forget what the term it is, but there is this thing, this phenomenon in medicine. I forget what it's called, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, but it's basically like a peaceful, like sort of hallucination that happens sometimes moments or weeks or hours before an eventual death.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of wonder because when you're in hospice care, that's obviously, it's at the end of one's life. And
Mm.
I wonder, did the director say what stages of hospice care that these people were at when they showed them the film?
I don't believe so. Personally, I hate the idea of hospices personally, but that's a different conversation for another day. But just knowing that Jacob's Ladder is about a man dealing with death, like it makes me wonder, was this meant to be a horror movie? Because here's the thing though. I think this is a horror movie because of the gruesome imagery and the fact that Jacob is tortured and scared and thinking that there's also a lot of demonic imagery too, which I will talk to you
Hmm.
more about later.
Oh yeah.
And here's a quote that I think, like this quote. So I learned about this movie due to a Lagwagon song called "Leave the Light On," and it quotes the chiropractor Lewis. And I'm going to read this out loud. He said, "The only thing that burns in hell is the part of you that won't let go of your life, your memories, your attachments. They burn them all away, but they're not punishing you," he said. "They're freeing you." So the way he sees it, if you're frightened of dying and you're holding on, you'll see devils tearing your life away. But if you made your peace, then the devils are really angels freeing you from the earth. It's just a matter of how you look at it, that's all. Or do you think
Yeah.
that's insisting upon itself? What do you think?
I don't think it's insisting upon itself. I think
Yeah.
it sums up the what I think is the main theme of the movie, which is about somebody coming to peace with the fact that they're about to die or they are dying.
Yeah, and here's the thing. On my second rewatch, I didn't have this interpretation that this is a man hallucinating. My interpretation is, okay, who's a demon and who's an angel? Now, obviously the chiropractor I think is an angel. Like he's the only nice person to Jacob, and also in the hospital scene, which we will talk about later, trust me. When he's like in the hospital with his leg up, he keeps going, he's saying like, this is barbaric. You should not be treating him like this. And I know some people be like, oh, plot hole, the doctors aren't kicking him out. Well, he's an angel and he's
Yeah.
protecting Jake. I mean,
Yeah.
he even says he's basically a cherub. Jacob literally calls him a cherub, which is just another tiny baby angel. What do you think of the chiropractor, by the way? I mean, he's barely in the movie, but what do you think about him?
I think it's a good sort of, again, I'm trying to think of the words, but it's a good sort of, he's a good ally to Jacob in the way that you just said, to where it's
Mm-hmm.
like he's somebody who's got his back and he seems to have his best interests in mind. He's not like He's not like, what's his girlfriend's name? Why am I forgetting his
Jez.
girlfriend's name? Jez. Yeah, he's not like her because I feel like most of the time they're going through relationship stuff or they're fighting or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um, and there's also that one lawyer guy who's not on this side at all. There's all these other people, but it seems like is he a chiropractor or is he
Mm-hmm.
he's a chiropractor, right?
Yeah, he's a chiropractor. I
Okay,
have my
yeah.
phone open now because I actually want to say a thing about Jezebel, but I'll let you finish.
But yeah, he's a good sort of like emotional support character for Jacob. He's somebody other than Jacob that the audience can see and be like, oh, okay, he's on the protagonist's side.
Yeah.
And he's not like everybody else who just seems to be dismissive of Jacob. And
Oh yeah.
when he says, like, "Hey, I'm going to," there's just even that one scene in the admissions office early on in the movie where he's like, "Hey, I want to see Dr. Carlson," and the
Ooh.
lady working the admissions desk has like no idea what he's talking about. She has like no idea who Dr. Carlson is. You know,
Yeah.
it's like he was never. It's like he was never a patient at that particular facility.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like I feel like here's my interpretation. Like part of me wonders if like all the other dead soldiers are also or not all the other dead soldiers, all the soldiers, his soldier buddies are also dead too, along with like the military personnel. Well, not all the military personnel, specifically the guy who tells Jacob like about the drug, the ladder that they used in Vietnam,
Mhm.
which I was shocked when they even said in the credits like they had an experimental drug. It's like it really does. Like I feel like here's the thing. It was never a commentary about the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was just a plot device, and I feel like, I feel like, in my personal opinion, the guy explaining to Jacob about the drug was just another form of closure for him of why these hallucinations are happening. Because maybe the guy could be another angel.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation, at least. As I think about this more, do you think this could be the granddaddy of like those like artsy slow burn movies that deal with grief? Pretty much what most people associate A24 with.
I guess so, because like I know this movie wasn't. It's not a super well-known movie, but I do know it is very influential. So it's like
Oh yeah.
I can see, I could definitely saw a bit of like A24-ness, for lack of a better term, in this movie, even though this was made in the early '90s.
I feel like though, like for me, characters carry a movie, and I really liked Jacob as a character. I mean, he's basically an everyman, but I feel like that Vietnam War thing. It's just like it's him trying to get back into what he thinks is reality in society, but when in actuality he's in this like purgatory or hell state, really.
Yep.
And the next character I want to talk about, I want to ask you before I say this. I want to make the dumbass joke and say Jez's full name in the movie is Jezebel Pipkin, and yes, viewers, she shares a name with famous Face Connect VTuber Pipkin Pippa. That's the joke. Okay, now Drew.
I have no idea who that. I have absolutely no idea who that is. So that joke went way over my head.
It's all right. She's a VTuber whom I really like, and she's incredibly loud and cute. But anyways, what do you think about Jez in the movie? What are your thoughts about Jez?
Her character kind of confused me a little bit because it's like I know she's supposed to be the girlfriend, the new girlfriend after I guess Jacob had us splitting up with his wife, but it's like feel like that. I don't know. I thought she was okay. I wish I had more to say, but I really don't. This is one of those movies that it's like I don't know. My brain is still trying to process parts of it, to be honest.
Okay. When you do your own
'Cause
individual review, I think that can make sense.
Yeah.
So I actually had this theory about I think Jezebel is actually a demon because like she burns all of the photos in the beginning when she says like I don't like stuff that makes you cry, but at the same time she actually assisted Jacob when he was like when he needed the ice bath. But I mean I don't really know. I like to think she is a demon because there is a deleted scene in the movie. Now, believe it or not, there's a lot of deleted scenes that were pretty disturbing and very well visually done, especially with all the practical effects, but they were removed for two reasons: pacing issues, and test audiences deemed them too disturbing. And when Jacob is in his ex-wife's apartment, Jezebel actually appears and just goes through a very demonic transformation. She's like jittering her head and like covered in like the skin tight suit. But when Jacob uncloses it, it's him. So I feel like Jezebel is meant to be a demon because she even appears in the hospital hallucination too, where he's like strapped in and like kind of a little cuff over his mouth and everything. Yeah. I want to talk to you about the freaking visual effects as well, but that's just how I interpret Jezebel, at least, that she's partially a demon. I mean, she didn't even come, it was the chiropractor who got Jacob out of the hospital, not Jezebel, too, so my theory can still stand.
I think that's kind of what I was getting at before. Sometimes what her motivations were and what her sort of goal is was a bit conflicting from scene to scene, if that makes sense. Because in some ways she's trying to be supportive of Jacob, and then some scenes she's unhappy with him and there's not much of a reason given. It's like I'm not really sure what to make of her character, to be honest. I guess that's what I'm saying. That's my overcomplicated way of saying.
I do think in a way she was a little more evil because for two reasons. I think at the end, the last time she saw it was her telling Jacob not to leave and just kind of stay and just kind of stay. And also the dance scene where she's literally in the party scene where they're having like disco play. Mm-hmm. She's literally getting fucked by a demon. There's no other way to put that. Which I want to. What did you think about that scene? Tell me. What did you think about the whole party scene?
Holy epilepsy.
Yeah. Because like here's the thing, barely any CGI was in this movie. In fact, they had to do the director thought that having not having like certain scenes flash would fill in your imagination. And the famous head twitching scene where you see like characters in the movie like twitch their head around really fast. That was them recording it on a very low frame. Like you see it in the party scene, you see it in the hospital scene, which which and again, Jezebel just getting screwed by the demon too.
Yeah, that scene was very outside of obviously I could made the epilepsy joke earlier. No offense to anybody who actually with epilepsy, by the way. It's that scene was very, for lack of a better term, freaky. As weird as that sounds to say, because not
I
only
think
is
that's
is Jezebel getting fucked with a demon, it's like it's doing so in a way where it's shot in a very disorienting way. Because
oh yeah,
not only is there a lot of there's a lot of Dutch tilts in this movie as far as like the camera work
oh,
goes,
good call,
but
good eye.
yeah, but there's also there's I think there's some in that particular some Dutch tilts in that particular scene. So it's shot in a weird way, but there's also so many flashing lights and strobes and stuff. It's a scene that makes you feel very uneasy, but also feels very nightmarish at the same time. So again, going back to what we were saying earlier, it's like, is this really happening? Happening? Is it not really happening?
Yeah. What's funny too is that, again, I bring this up because again, this is my theory why Jezebel's a demon. She's a very seductive person. Like she's okay. She's basically, getting screwed by a demon. And there's even when Jacob's describing demons of the things he's seeing, Jezebel's just kind of listening, kind of just rubbing her foot on his bare back. No pun intended. And biblical reference time. Jezebel in the Bible, she's a Phoenician princess and the wife of King Ahab of Israel, and she promoted the worship of the false god Baal. She killed many of God's prophets and fought against the prophet Elijah. And yeah, she was practically a villain. And even Jesus warned about Jezebel too. So there's like some biblical similarities between her and the Jezebel in the Bible.
I never read the Bible, so of course I would totally miss on these.
I'm still trying to get through the book of John personally, but also I think the guy who wrote this, Bruce Joel, whatever his name is, he actually he was inspired by Nightmare where he was locked in a subway, and he saw that as like the passage between life and death, and he also I think he took some like inspirations from like some kind of monk philosophy. I don't know if it was Buddhism or not.
So that explains the opening scene then.
Yeah. What I actually want to ask you about the opening scene. What'd you like better, the Vietnam massacre or the subway station? Which one did you think left the lasting impact on you?
Probably the subway stuff, because that was, as somebody because this movie takes place in New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been to New York City. I used to live near there like years and years ago, and those subway stations can be a scary place to get lost in if
Mm-hmm.
there's nobody around. It also kind of reminded me of I've never played the. You all can roast me in the comments if you want, but I've never played the Silent Hill video games. But I feel like I've seen a similar scenario in Silent Hill, where
It was
someone's
three.
lost
Silent
in
Hill
like
3 actually.
Silent Hill 3. Okay.
There's an entire level in the subway station. I got past it. It was a pretty tough level, but I got past it. Also, I feel like I don't know if this is just a coincidence, but there's a lot of other horror games that do like subway stations. I don't know. Silent Hill 3 obviously was the one inspired by Jacob's Ladder, but I feel like Jacob's Ladder may have had influence of like subways being a prominent level in horror games, which I'm gonna be honest, they do make for great horror settings. I mean, heck,
Oh,
there's even
absolutely.
a horror movie out called Exit 8, and that's based on a horror game about being an infinite loop in a subway. But
Yep.
but I digress. We might cover that one day, maybe if the viewers request it to us. But anyways, where was I? Oh, right. What was your favorite hallucination scene, and what was the scariest one?
Oh, my absolute favorite scene in the movie, because I think this whole movie is a hallucination. So that basically makes the whole movie. My absolute favorite scene in the movie was that one in the one where Jacob's being dragged through that asylum place with all those like evil
Ooh.
looking doctors around. That
Yeah.
scene was so creepy, not just because of, I mean, abandoned asylum places are creepy enough by themselves, but also you have him being wheeled through the bloody with through like all these
Yeah.
bloody environments with the legs, and it's kind of a, because even in that scene he looks over to one of the windows, to one of the doorways, and there's a kid's bike, a broken kid's bike,
Oh,
and
that's his
it's 'cause
son.
yeah, that's his son. So it's one of those things that kind of sits in the viewer's mind, like, okay, he's not confronting, but he's being confronted with the things that happened in his past.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good way to say it. And also another reason why I like that scene so much is, how do I put this? It's basically the music video for Nightmare. The Avenged
Yeah,
Sevenfold song.
it is. It is. It is. Isn't this the Rev's favorite movie? Actually,
One of his favorite movies. So,
yeah.
to get slightly off traffic, viewers, so Avenged Sevenfold, who I said earlier are the greatest band of all time. Metal Elitist, you can suck my dick. I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Avenged Sevenfold are amazing. If you don't like them, you have shitty
It's your
taste in
fucking
music. I'm sorry.
nightmare.
It's your fucking nightmare, exactly. So the song Nightmare, which comes from the album Nightmare, was made in the months following the passing of their drummer, Jimmy Sullivan, also known as the Rev. And he was a really big fan of the movie Jacob's Ladder. So when they were making the music video for the title track Nightmare, they took heavy inspiration from Jacob's Ladder, specifically the scene that we were just talking about with when
Mhm.
he was being wheeled through this like sort of abandoned asylum. There's all these evil doctors. They're gonna experiment on him because like the basic premise of the music video is that M Shadows, the singer of Avenged Sevenfold, they have him tied to this gurney and they're dragging him through this abandoned mental hospital, and he's seeing all these different disturbing imagery in all these different doorways in these different areas of the asylum, and many of these shots are basically directly lifted from Jacob's Ladder, such as the various shots in the doorway. There's a shot of the bass player Johnny Christ crawling over a fence
Oh
that is like
yeah.
straight out of Jacob's Ladder. Even like the medium shots of the wheels of the gurney wheels are straight out of Jacob's Ladder. When I was watching this movie last night and that scene came up, I was basically because I was recognizing every shot from the
Yeah,
Nightmare
you were
Before.
like the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing beam.
I was exactly. I was thinking that. I was thinking that. I was like, oh, there's that shot from the Nightmare music video because
Yeah.
it's like, because it's like, because before this I had never seen Jacob's Ladder, obviously,
Hmm.
as we made clear early on in the podcast.
Yeah.
But I have seen the Nightmare music video hundreds and hundreds of times, and it's like, and I was like, oh, there it is, that's that shot, that's that
Yeah.
shot.
Like it's funny about that sequence too is that it gets more grimy and gory and just worn down and decaying as it continues. Like it starts off like generic white lights. You see the kids with bicycle, but the moment you pass by like the first patient just like curled up in a ball on the floor is when shit hits the fan. Like you see people like banging their heads against the wall until it bleed. You know, people crawling on the floor. They run over a freaking gut and there's like a pile of like decapitated arms and
Yeah.
limbs.
Hmm.
And you know what's cool about that scene is that when they shot that, they actually removed a wheel off like the little stretcher and put the camera underneath it so it's on the same level as the wheel.
That's probably how they got that shot. Then that's how they got that
Yeah.
shot. Then
Yeah, like
okay.
Adrian Lin, he knows how to shoot a movie. Now, granted, I'll be honest, I have never seen another movie by Adrian Lin, but according to his filmography, he does a lot of erotic thrillers like Fatal Attraction. Apparently, that's his most iconic
Yeah.
movie. I've never.
So yeah, on my Blu-ray the copy it says from the director of Fatal Attraction and Indecent Proposal.
Yeah, from the director of
I have
Fatal
I've
Attraction.
I've I've never heard of Indecent Proposal, but I have heard of Fatal Attraction. I haven't seen either
Um,
of them, so
yeah, I feel it's yeah, but going back to the asylum scene, like the whole thing is just again, it's like he's in this is hell. I mean,
yeah.
it could be argued that he is trapped in hell, especially because of the chiropractor's thing, and even on the subway, he's in hell, and they say in hell that you're forced to relive your worst memory, which I don't think. I mean, granted, I mean, which is of course for Jacob, it's his son dying, but there's also his flashes of Vietnam, which is just him fighting for life, in my opinion. But the
Mhm.
hospital too, it's like him fighting it, where eventually it reaches the end where he's like hooked up. He sees Jezebel as a doctor, and of course there's the freaking faceless guy. Like that
Yeah.
thing's a straight up demon. It's like, and he argues with him, going, "I am very much alive. Then what are you doing here? I don't know. I want to go home." It's like, this is your home. You're already dead. Like, and then eventually, like, when he stabs the needle into his head and, like, the blood gushes out and he screams, it's like, I'm almost thankful they didn't do anything else with that because Lord knows what they probably did to him in that
Mhm.
hallucination. Because, mind you,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there was no deleted scene. There was a deleted scene though that made no sense. It was a great visual effect though, where he supposedly takes an antidote for the ladder, and it's a great visual, but it just doesn't make sense in the movie.
I didn't watch any of the deleted scenes, so
It's fine. The deleted scenes, I can understand why they're deleted. But that being said, though, one of them had a great visual effect where essentially there's like a when he takes like an antidote and lays down, the whole room starts shaking, and like the ladder, the wall, the ceiling starts cracking, like blood spews out. It covers like a single light bulb, and then like when a hole breaks in, you see it's like and you see it's like a milk. Okay, for your sake, it's like the Thing, but like mashed up into a ball, or to our viewers out there, a Shoggoth out of H.P. Lovecraft. And if you don't know what and viewers, if you know what Shoggoth is, you probably know what I'm talking about. Those, yeah, Drew, basically a Shoggoth is like a disgusting creature with like a lot of eyes, and it can adapt to any form as it pleases. It's like the Thing. That's what inspired the Thing from.
oh yeah,
John
it's from
Carpenter.
that story, Who Goes There, right?
Who goes there
Yeah.
in the Mountain of Madness, and I think there was like another
In the mouth,
Lovecraft.
is it In the Mouth of Madness you're thinking of, or is
Oh
it
no, no! In the Mountain of Madness, that was the original Lovecraft story. In the Mouth of Madness,
okay.
though, is a John Carpenter film that I would so love to cover because it's now become my favorite John Carpenter movie.
Yes, because you said the same exact thing last week.
Yes, 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 yes. Anyways, but like again, the fact that there was any CGI for any of these is just very impressive. And again, it makes. But
Are demons trying to contact you, Nick?
probably, am I alive, man? I feel so alive for the very first time because we're talking about a movie I really love. Well, okay, I mentioned in text that like this movie does feel a little janky, but like even after watching it, I still can't help but love it. Like I feel like maybe if I wanted more, I kind of wanted more hallucinatory madness, like in Videodrome or in A Mouth of Madness. But I feel like those spaces really help pace the movie out. So Jacob still, he's in reality, but he's still questioning. Like it all looks normal because it all looks normal, but it just doesn't seem right. Like even in the Dr. Carlson scene, like the nurse having those like freaking horns or deformities or whatever. I don't. I mean, I think they're horns now because like the demon stuff and everything. Yeah, and then realizing Dr. Carlson was never here. It's again, it's just like the whole movie. He's like questioning reality and in denial that he's alive. But again, I do feel a lot of people say they hated the ending. Sorry,
I liked the ending, to be honest. I liked the
okay.
ending.
A lot of people say they hate the ending because it ruined the ambiguity, but I liked it because again, it's about a man accepting that he's gone, and yeah, I like the ending too. I like it too, and it also gives it actually kind of elevates the horror knowing that I just said elevate horror that like the government was doing experiments on the soldiers, and maybe there could have been other people like Jacob going for the same effects, and maybe the hallucinations they weren't just the latter that could have affected their subconscious during their last moments too, in my opinion as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that people don't like the ending, to be honest. This is the first time I've heard about that. Personally, I think if it wasn't for the ending, this movie would have been too ambiguous for its own good. I
Oh
like that
yeah,
it cleared up some of the ambiguity.
yeah,
So,
I agree.
and again, I said earlier that I still feel like even though it's like I think pretty much most of this movie was one big pre-death hallucination, there's other ways you could read this film as well. Like, I'm
I
not
see.
saying that my way is the only way to view it,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah.
um,
Again, this is like the granddaddy of like the slow burn horror movies that deal with grief.
and I
But
should this is more of a personal thing with me. Those slow burn horror movies, like a lot of those A24 movies, I guess you could probably consider this one's, like you said, it's the granddaddy of it. I'll be perfectly honest, a lot of these movies can be very hit or miss for me. A
uh,
lot of them can kind of get too
insistent upon themselves, pretentious.
insistent, it's pretentious, insistent upon themselves, but they
Yeah,
also could sort of become very like they can kind of trip over their own sort of world, if that makes sense. They can kind
their
of
own ambitions, their own
their own
ambitions.
ambitions, yeah. So it's like a lot of these movies can be very hit or miss for me. Some of these I do like, some of these I'm like, this isn't my. I'm as a big horror fan. This isn't necessarily my go-to sort of horror subgenre, but at the same time, I think this is a really good example of this kind of movie. I mean, this. I mean, I like some slow burn horror movies. A couple years ago, I saw this really awesome movie on Shudder. I think it's called Sun. I think is what it's called. It's kind of like a modern version of
S-O-N.
Rosemary. S-O-N, yeah. It's kind of like a modern version of Rosemary's Baby. It's different than from this movie, obviously, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good
Yeah.
movie. It's really underrated, in my
Hmm.
opinion. So it's like I like a good slow burn. It's
Yeah.
just that you kind of have to be a little careful sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I think The Shining is an example of a slow burn. Like that movie is slow, but the ending was worth it. The ending made it for me, honestly.
I'm gonna get annihilated in the comment section for what I'm about to say, but I still have yet to see The Shining.
Okay, we'll get to it. Don't worry.
It's okay.
But
I've got the 4K Blu-ray.
yeah,
We'll
and
cover it for the podcast at some point.
I see. There's another movie I like to mention by A24, but I'd like to save that personally. I think Drew knows what it is. I'd like to save it because it's
Oh
probably
man,
really hot.
it's I'm not gonna name it, but let's just say, Nick, you are the only one I've ever met that does not like that movie.
Oh yeah, I honestly, I mean, I'm not gonna enjoy watching the movie again, but I'll probably enjoy. I will just be like, I will be like Jesus carrying the freaking cross in the Romans. Yeah, another Bible
I'm just
reference.
I'm just gonna say I still kind of want to wait a while before we do that movie
That's fine.
that you're talking about.
Oh, that's
But
fine. Yeah.
I will say though, if we by the time we cover that movie, which I won't name, um, but we all know what we both know what it
Mhm.
is. I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm gonna say this as a friend
Yeah.
that horror Twitter might eat you alive.
Hey,
I'm just saying that
I
right
have
now.
openly defended the live action Death Note movie, which I would love to cover on the podcast one day. Even though you're not a fan of anime, it'd be really nice to hear your perspective on it. But I have defended the live action Death Note movie on Netflix, and it's a quote to quote. Hang on, I gotta look up something because this is a really nice joke. I think this is a really nice joke at least. Hang on, viewer, I gotta. Remind me not to do stand. I mean, I still want. I wouldn't mind doing stand-up comedy, but like I have to like write down my notes real quick. So to quote the 7th track off the 2010 Eminem album "Recovery," I'm not afraid.
I will say to kind of get back to A24 movies just a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess you consider this a psychological horror movie to a degree, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite A24 movie that I've seen is probably Robert Eggers' The Witch. So
I still have to see that one.
it's good.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I liked The Lighthouse, and I also liked Nosferatu. So I'm going in with high hope. I don't know if I should go in with high hopes or not. Got to have
No,
high hopes for the Eggers.
Nosferatu is technically not an A24 film. It's a Focus
That's
Features
true.
and Universal film.
But I do feel like with psychological horror, they can be hit or miss because you will get lost in your own ambitions and artsy
Mm-hmm.
statements. But as far as Jacob's Ladder goes, what do you make? Do you think it good? You think it hits? You think it hits the right way and makes all the good marks?
For the most part, like I said, I feel like without the ending, this movie definitely would have gotten tripped over its own ambition,
Oh
because
yeah.
I feel like for any of the scenes that you saw before to make much sense, that ending is essential. Kind of like what you were kind of getting at earlier, is that because if it wasn't for that ending, for us being like, okay, yeah, Jacob is dead, and he's, it's very much implied that it's all one big hallucination. If it wasn't for that, this is just a loosely connected series of hallucinations and events. If it
Mhm.
wasn't for that ending, I don't know if you agree with that, but I think you can see where I'm coming from.
No. No, I agree. I agree. Actually, I think the ending was worth it because, like, it gave the message, also gave some dread, knowing that there could be others going through the same process of Jacob. Honestly,
Mhm.
not in real life, but probably on their dying bed. It's like, I mean, and even the final scene by the military doctor saying of him going, he was fighting real hard, like he was in pain. He was probably struggling and
Yeah,
in pain too, and
yeah,
that final scene, which, by the way, to drop an anime reference, the scene with the kid on the staircase, that was briefly referenced in the Chainsaw Man opening, and it's also, I think this movie is one of Tatsuki Fujimoto's favorite movies, but I digress. It's like it goes from dark and cold to bright and yellow. That Jacob's accepted the situation, and not only, and since he finally accepted it, he actually reunites with a loved one, which a lot of religious leaders, a lot of religious people told me as a kid, you will reunite with loved ones in heaven, even if they go before you, and that that honestly that really does kind of make it happy. It's like, you did it, man, you did it, you accepted your demons, because I feel like this whole film's, and I mean, it could be argued this film doesn't go through the five stages of grief very well, but acceptance. That's what the final scene is of him. Because also Jacob's ladder in many biblical references is basically the connection between, I think, heaven, hell, and purgatory. But again, I'm no theology expert.
Yeah, I have no comment.
Yeah, what do you think of what do you think of the final? What did you think about? And I also really like the transition too, where it's like once he climbs the ladder, it's completely bright, then transitions to tell me your whole thoughts about the whole finale. Tell me your thoughts about the finale.
Well, as far as that one scene, I totally agree. I like that the top of the stairs was super bright and colorful, and like the room he was in before was like super dark. Nice use of color contrast there. But yeah, I thought, when I guess the word I would describe to use that finale would probably be, this might sound a little corny, but it would be a very peaceful feeling, if that makes sense. Especially as he's going up the stairs into what I assume to be heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very peaceful, very, like you're just saying, a feeling of acceptance and
Yeah,
feeling of like, okay,
and when you
this is where
accept
I am now.
things, you feel better. It's warm.
Very warm feeling. Yes, that's probably would have been a better word. But
And then I thought I had more to say about this movie because I was like trying to dig about things I could find. Like, because what's funny what's funny about this DVD, this is before IMDb and everything, so it actually had production notes and trivia about the film, and again also a mini documentary too. And I don't remember much about the production notes except that this film, when it was first written, it people loved it, but they didn't think it would be possible, except for a guy who made erotic thrillers. And I wonder, a part of me does think that maybe it's just my own personal views on like, and I'm not trying to like go too deep into like sex and everything, but I do feel like sex is very sacred, and the fact that it can go wrong or right and can be seen as taboo. I think with something like Jacob's Ladder, especially with the character Jezebel, I think Adrian Lin did an amazing job for someone who has never directed a horror movie. Like, she's trying to make scenes more intimate, not intimate, but just like, when he's with his like original family, it feels much more. How do I put this?
Much more authentic.
It's much more authentic. It feels it. It kind of feels like, the best way I can put this, it feels like those like 60s, okay, this is probably the wrong aesthetic, but it feels like a more authentic family. He's genuinely happy. Whereas with Jezebel, and he is happy if someone else is Jezebel, but Jezebel is more of a physical person, whereas there's more romance and family in Jacob's old relationship. And again, which is, I think is ironic coming from somebody who mostly does erotic thrillers, that, Jez is like more of the dirty. I mean, it's not just of her dirty, getting like like everything, like the apartment just feels kind of messy. The Jezebel's apartment feels messy, whereas Jacob's old apartment, even when he goes in the finale, just feels more clean and just like it's just there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, do you have anything to add on that, Drew? I feel like I'm yapping.
I really don't have anything to add on to that, other than like I kind of got that feeling too, in the sense that I feel like the scenes were with Jacob and his ex-wife Sarah were more, feels like Jacob was like psychologically in a better place during those scenes as compared to the scenes with Jezebel, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which again goes back to the conversation: is Jezebel a demon? Here's another question, and I might have totally missed something in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But is Jezebel herself even real?
No, Jezebel's not real.
Okay, that's kind of the feeling that I got. Okay.
Yeah. Again, I think she's a demon.
I'm not crazy.
I think she's a demon because, again, she was in the surgery room. Room. She told Jacob not to leave and go make his peace. I mean, and of course, there's the lead scene of her final transformation too, which I understand why the scenes were deleted, but man, the freaking antidote scene, oh, dude, the visuals are so great on that. But then again, it didn't affect it didn't serve the story very well.
Well,
Um,
I got a question for you. Ask you. What did
sure.
you think of the car chase scene early on, when Jacob's in the alley running from that black car that's being
Oh,
operated by those demon-looking people with no face?
that was a crazy ass scene. Like that was a really insane scene. Like I'm just like when I first saw, I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? Is this like a military sting or something? But my second time
Mhm.
watching, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but maybe that could have been like a similar to a hearse, or maybe another sign, a symbolism of death, has a sense of like the little demons inside, or because like I don't I or I yeah because like the first time I saw it, I thought maybe there was like a sting operation. Like there's even a moment where he's taken inside a car and fighting some government officials before like hurting his back. I think in a way, I feel like there are some ambiguous moments. Like again, I believe Jezebel's a demon, but I do feel like the people, his military friends, except for the one who exploded in the car, were angels telling him just let it go. And the government men they could be argued as aggressive angels saying, "Hey, let it go." But then like that angel with telling him about the ladder, that was it. That was him going, "That's the truth. That's the truth," and that finally made him let go and accept that he could be dead.
I'll be
At least
honest.
that's his point.
I totally forgot about that one army guy who blew up in the car. It's like I'm kind of getting the feeling now that he might have the car blowing up might have been part of his process of accepting death and accepting what happened.
It could be.
It
I
could
like
be.
to
There's many ways you could look at scenes like that.
Yeah, I like to think that there's if he's in hell, there's some people who are still damned who haven't let go yet. Like again, the hospital scene, you see all those insane patients like who, you know, who could not let go. Like
Mm.
again, I just the more I think about this movie just really makes me think. This movie makes me think a lot.
It does make me
And
think. And you know what? I'm sure our viewers are probably going to get somewhat annoyed by this because, I bring up Avenged Sevenfold all the time on this podcast, every possible opportunity. That album we talked about earlier, Nightmare, that
yeah,
whole album is all about death and grief,
uh huh,
just like this movie is. And the song Nightmare, not only is the music video heavily inspired by Jacob's Ladder, I feel like the lyrics of the song kind of have a bit of a sort of a similar vibe with Jacob's Ladder because it's about somebody who's ascending or descending to hell and they're paying
yeah,
for the sins that they committed in their lives.
yeah,
So I
um,
kind of feel like it's a bit of a fascinating connection.
yeah.
Um,
Also, it even says in the tagline, the most frightening thing about Jacob Singer's nightmare is that he isn't dreaming. And go back to the Avenged Sevenfold music video. In the
mhm,
hospital scene, there's like a crashed bicycle. There's a drum
mhm.
set in the Avenged Sevenfold music video, and
Yeah,
the Rev
at
was the
the end,
drummer.
yeah, at the end, yeah, and if at the end of the music video, in that shot of the drum set, there's a white light behind the drum set.
It's
So
interesting.
I think it's kind of insinuating that,
Yeah,
not to get too dark into this, but maybe the Rev's in a better place now or something like that, kind of giving that sort of like feeling of acceptance, that
yeah.
this is what happened, you know, because that whole album was basically about Avenged Sevenfold, the members dealing with their grief.
Oh yeah,
So I
yeah.
feel like that's an
Also
interesting
too,
connection.
yeah, and also in the Silent Hill connection, James Sunderland of Silent Hill 2 is very similar to Jacob Singer. Like he has the same military jacket. He has the same fit as Jacob Singer, James Sunderland, and he also has a dead family member who he's dealing with. But it is ambiguous of whether or not James Sunderland is either dead or he's in like because there's like a ton of theories on Silent Hill 2 that I'm not going to dive into, but that again serving the serving the similarities of Silent Hill 2 especially, and also the monsters too were inspired by Jacob's Ladder.
I could tell. Yeah, like I said, I've never played the Silent Hill games, so
Yeah, well,
I
yeah,
don't have a, wish I had more to
yeah,
say.
it's all good. I mean, I hear Silent Hill 2 and F are really good, so you can check those out. I mean, I've only played the original, but I heard the remake's decent. I heard the remake's neat.
Because my only real option to play the original is to pay a couple $100 for a used copy on eBay. So,
Emulation.
well,
But anyways,
even emulation, you still need a physical copy for, right? Or some sort of
no,
copy.
you just need to
Oh,
find a ROM.
oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, no. Most computers around both. Even, apparently, I now learned that my computer had the potential to run Silent Hill 2, but I didn't because I didn't know because my computer is not for gaming. But that being said, though, I think it's time. I think we hit the 50-minute mark, so it's time to wrap up Jacob's Ladder. Despite having a different experience by my second time watching, I still love this movie. I still think it's a great movie. And, and the second time watching, I didn't see it so much as a horror movie as more of a psychological drama, kind of like a Ryan Gosling movie called Stay, which it's on the dock. We should definitely cover it sometime. I still think Jacob's Ladder is a really, really well-made psychological horror movie. Granted, a lot of people do say, like, don't really see how special it is. Well, it actually, again, it was a very influential movie. It actually influenced a lot of the psychological horror stuff about it. Would I say it's one of the first ones? No, but it's definitely one that people look back on when they think psych horror. And I think Jacob's Ladder is worth seeing if you're a horror fan. If you want to delve into psychological horror, it's a great starting point as well.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, first I'd like to say I would like to apologize for the mountain of spoilers that we've given you throughout this podcast. But yeah, it's not really one of my, like I said, psychological horror is not really one of my go-to horror subgenres or just movie genres in general. But I do think this is definitely one of the better ones I've seen. I think it's pretty good. Also, because I'm biased because of the Avenged Sevenfold comparison. But because of the Avenged Sevenfold connection. But by the way, at the time of recording this video, I am 13 days away from seeing Avenged Sevenfold live for the very first time in my life. Gonna be fucking awesome.
Let's go, Drew.
I am making the trek to Los Angeles, the journey to Los Angeles for the weekend in a few weeks to see them live with Good Charlotte and Day to Remember. So it's gonna be awesome.
Just don't get lost. Just don't get lost and cross over into Bat Country where you have to beat up all the Pats and claim "Hail to the King."
Okay. Dude, if we ever cover Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, everybody will be required to make a Bat Country reference.
Screw it. I might just send you a separate audio recording of me covering Bat Country.
Grab your guitar and do an acoustic cover.
Okay, I might just do karaoke. I mean, I'll talk to you later after recording, but yeah, it sounds like you liked Jacob's Ladder.
I did like Jacob's Ladder. I don't know if it's a movie that I'm like. I don't know if it would be on like my. It certainly wouldn't be on like my comfort movie rotation, but it was.
I don't think this is a comfort movie. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not. But some people are like that. Some people are like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's. I don't get those people. I mean, I have my comfort movies, but I think most of them are either comedies or. I'm gonna say Novocaine's also a comfort movie as well. Most of them are comedies and animation. But anyways,
so this is an interesting film to study if you're looking at doing if any aspiring filmmakers are looking to do a psychological horror film. I think this is a good film to take influence from, certainly, because people have taken influence from it. But yeah, this is definitely a movie I'm glad I watched because it was very much a. From filmmaking wise, it's very interesting with all the dreamlike cinematography and all the Dutch tilts and the flashing lights and all this other stuff. But I also think I do want to compliment Tim Robbins though. He did such a good job as Jacob Singer.
Oh yeah, Tim Robbins was super good. He was great. Like he played that everyman so well. He played. Like, for as much as a Vietnam vet Jacob is, like, he played that everyman so well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. And also, I know the other girl, too, what's her Elizabeth Pena. Yeah. Elizabeth Pena, she did incredible as Jezebel. Like, she was also, apparently she was Mirage from The Incredibles.
Which one was Mirage?
She was Syndrome's assistant.
Yeah, it's been years since I've seen The Incredibles, people.
You're fine. It's a cool movie, but it actually got inducted in the Library of Congress recently.
Cool. I remember seeing that movie in theaters when it came out back in 2004.
Same, dude. Yeah. Dude, if we talk about The Incredibles, we can talk about how hype the movie was. But anyways, let's conclude this episode before we go off topic and turn this into like another post-podcast talk. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for enjoying this episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Actually, Drew, do you want to do the outro for once, or can I do it again?
Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, not only on YouTube, but we're also on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music / Audible. We are on Spotify. We are on iHeartRadio, even though I don't know how many people use iHeartRadio these days. So, and we are also on YouTube. I should be doing this week. Look out for an individual review of the Wes Craven classic, The People Under the Stairs. I'm excited to watch that movie, man. I'm so excited. And so, yeah, that's kind of all I really got to say. Nick, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just, subscribe to the channel for more movie madness here at Movie Mortis. Have a good night, people, and watch out for the demons.